Good.
And welcome into Press Box Live, a special Monday edition of Press Box Live, where it's usually Stan the Fan, which that's me, of PressBoxOnline.com. Luke Jackson, the managing editor of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com. And the old left-hander, but the old left-hander is missing in action today. Had something come up, and I told him, Ross, relax, take a deep breath. Luke and I got it handled. So we're here for the next 20, 25 minutes, and we are brought to you, of course, by at our friends at the Costas Inns, because now there's two great locations. The old one, 4100 North Point Boulevard, which is where you want to go if you want steamed crabs or anything else on that tremendous menu. But if you live closer or want to try a new experience, the Costas Inn, same great food minus the crabs, the steamed crabs, is at the Timonium right above the grandstand next to the OTB. They're open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week there, and they're doing some blockbuster business, I hear. And they've got this, like I said, the same great menu. Only difference is crabs at North Point Boulevard and without crab, but crab cakes, crab soup, and the rest of the delicious menu. Um, our menu's a little different this week. We found out late last week, Luke, like Thursday or Friday last week, that hey, we got a little surprise for you from the Orioles. That back in the winter, back when things were going good, we uh, we made Mike Elias the president of baseball operations, and you know we we're going to change the nature of our front office, so we didn't want to announce that until we get everything in place. Um, I don't usually use this kind of language. That sounds like such a crock to me. And I find look, I'm not mad at Mike Elias, not mad at PR, not mad at David Rubenstein. It just is very bizarre to me if you're trying to get your fan base fully engaged in your product that that didn't seem like important enough to tell us. But every game we go to at a home game, they make a point of announcing Tony Mansolino as the interim manager. That seems important enough to get over your PA. But Mike Elias, general manager, your thoughts?
I guess I wasn't totally surprised because he's been the GM now for 7, 8 years, whatever it's been.
Right.
And if the owner likes the work that the GM has done for about that amount of time, go
Nobody's
ahead.
saying we're surprised that he's booted upstairs. I
Right.
mean, but there was conjecture since the team had such a lousy year this year,
Hmm.
and we had openly talk about it all the time, that he had a pretty dismal offseason last year.
Hmm.
I give him a break because the payroll did go up, and he's got new freedom with some more money, and maybe he just felt like, hey, I don't want to go crazy in year one. So I'll give him credit. And nobody's saying he shouldn't be the president of baseball ops. I'm talking about the decision that it didn't seem significant to us. So so all the press releases that they send us about they're doing this thing at the Harlem Park Elementary School, and we as media members, or we bring those things up because they're important to the club and we want to let people know. But they didn't think it was that important to tell us that they gave somebody, that there was debate going on talk radio and in shows like ours, that maybe he's not the right guy for the future, when they had already decided that he was the right.
Right. So I guess it from a 30,000 foot view, it wasn't a surprise that this happened. And I suppose that we found out about it when they started reaching out to candidates for the GM spot. I would think that that's
Correct.
how it leaked.
Right.
That okay. Uh, so
I'm asking you to give me your opinion of what it says about our ball club that that didn't seem like a significant development. And the fact that now they say, well, we didn't want to go public with it until we redesigned our entire front office. Why can't you announce that Mike Elias is going to be president? We're entering into a search for a general manager, and we're not sure when that's going to be announced. The team's in capable hands with Mike until we do that.
It's a reasonable question.
Okay,
Certainly,
all right,
and perhaps they thought that, or I don't know, that it was going to take a while for them to hire a GM, and they didn't want to be asked about it, once every 2 weeks. Maybe that was, I don't know. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like it, and I mean, it is strange looking back that look. I mean, considering the start that the club got off to, and the fact that this owner didn't hire this GM, it was reasonable to wonder whether there was going to be maybe Mike wouldn't be outright fired at the end of the year, but maybe like a mutual parting of ways
right.
with the owner
I mean,
having a
nobody
different
knows
vision.
what contract lengths anybody
Right,
had. We
right.
never heard what Mike Elias' contract was. I mean, Brandon Hyde. It was always like this big secret. And look, I've learned from Mike Elias. I do appreciate because it's the easy thing for Mike Elias to do is to allow people to that work for him to talk freely to the media. That's the easy thing to do. The hard thing to do is to explain to them how the old saying, the military saying, loose lips sink ships.
Mhm.
We don't talk about how we do business. And I understand that. And I've even gotten to appreciate how good he is at it. To me, it fosters an environment that there's not room for a lot of talk about things because we don't know much.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Everything that you've said
And
is
and I
fair.
get back to the fact that it's fair to say that is that don't you want your fans kind of engaged in the discussion about who should be the GM? Fans aren't going to boycott the team if they announced that Mike Elias was president of the team, but they wouldn't have wasted their time on talk radio or in parties and discussions. I don't think Elias is the right guy. If the club announces we just gave Mike a 3 year or 4 year extension and named him president of the team, then everybody sort of falls in line. Okay, I don't agree with it, but he's the president of the team. You know,
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately, I guess that's David Rubenstein's decision about what he wants to announce and what he doesn't want to announce, right?
I I guess, I guess, because PR, it would seem like they'd take their marching orders from David, David or
Through
Michael
somebody else.
Arrighetti
Yeah.
or Mike Elias. Maybe
So,
Mike made the decision and they just didn't really think about it. The ownership. But to me, it's insulting to your fan base. That's all.
uh,
That's all. I don't have a problem with him being the team. I find it interesting that already, because we've talked about this in terms of the managerial hire, if we do get a managerial hire, which I think we will, that who would want that job that's really anybody that's already a good manager who's got some cachet around him
mhm.
because
So that's the, yeah.
Brandon took the job. Brandon took the job, and I guarantee you, Mike Elias said, "Brandon, we're real interested in you, but I gotta let you know, I run the team. You run you make the lineup and all that stuff, and you'll handle the media, but don't go too far in what you talk to them about." He knew that, but he wanted his first managerial job. Somebody, and I don't think Buck's going to be considered at all, but somebody like a Buck Showalter or a trying to think of like if Aaron Boone got let go by the Yankees, would they jump into a situation where they're not going to have much control?
Well, I think that's the next step is first of all, does the GM have to get hired before the manager? I would think that that would happen first.
That would seem like the
And that the
proper
GM and Mike will work hand in hand in hiring a manager? And is it
Correct.
possible, and we texted about this over the weekend, is it possible that a GM and manager could sort of be like like a dual
A team
situation, a
like a
team,
Kim Ang and Skip Schumacher
something like that,
work together in Miami.
Where a GM brings along a manager who he or she has a good working
Yep.
relationship with, and Mike already knows the GM. Does something like that
Yep.
happen, like a combo deal like that happen?
Yep.
I don't know the answer to that. And the other, and then go farther
But
down the line.
my point about working for Mike, it's interesting that they've already apparently they went to both Chicago teams, tried to talk to
Mhm.
Josh Barfield of the White Sox, and he declined to interview for the position. And then the assistant GM of the Cubs, what's his name?
Uh,
Snatsburg,
Kantrovitz, I think.
Kantrovitz.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got Kantrovitz. He's like an older, a little bit older guy than Josh Barfield, and he apparently said, "I'm not interested in that job either. I'm staying in Chicago." Um, so far, it looks like they're 0 for 2, and you wonder if that's part and parcel of Mike's a tough guy to work for because he's going to end up doing everything,
Right.
and
And now he just has a loftier title.
right,
And
right,
so, and that brings me to the point, like, is it possible that they just promote internally? And the candidates I would think would be Eve Rosenbaum and Matt Blood. Those would be the
right.
two guys, the two people who come to mind right away because I think Sig is off in his
Higgs on a different
a
grid.
silo, yeah, a
Yeah, he's
different
on a
silo.
different
So
silo.
those would be the two names that come to mind. And they
Right.
brought back Danny Haas, who worked for Dan Duquette for many years, uh, on the drafts in the 2010s for the
Okay.
Orioles. So
I didn't I
apparently
didn't
he's
know that Danny Haas. I didn't remember that. All I remember is reading that he worked for the Nationals.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think he worked for the Nationals most recently on their drafts, and he was
Did he
one of
leave when Elias came?
yes.
Okay. Interesting.
I think he was one of Dan's right hand men on the draft, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Interesting. Okay.
So
Maybe Dan Duquette's maybe Dan Duquette will be.
yeah, Dave, bring back Dan and Buck. They had a great working relationship, right?
Wonderful, wonderful working relation. I got to be quite honest with you. I don't think Buck's going to get a call. I would have no major problem if he understood. Now, there's one person. If you understood, he understands you're not running the team.
Yeah.
You run the team on the field, and you'll have some input through me, not going around me to the owner. You know, I'd have no problem with Buck coming back to manage the baseball team. But I also would not have any problem, not together, but I would have no problem if they said, hey, we looked around at some people and Dan Duquette wanted to come and he understands he's not the president of baseball operations, he's the general manager, but we think we can work together.
How
So,
important do you think the manager hire is for this club? Because yeah, I mean, they've obviously got some talented young kids who are trying to find their way at the major league level, and it hasn't really coalesced into a team at this point.
yeah, I think it's a pretty significant hire, you know. And I'm getting a lot of creeping, not creeping like creepy,
Hmm.
creeping suspicion that there's a lot of people in town that think that Tony Mazzolino, given what he was handed back
Hmm.
in mid May, that he's done a reasonable job and deserves to be considered for the job. I like Tony, the little bit of interplay I've had with him, and I think the media thinks he's a decent guy, but I don't get any sense that they love him the way they love Buck and the way they grew to really like Brandon. You know,
Yeah, I think Tony's done as good a job as he possibly could, given the hand that he was dealt. And really, after the trade deadline, uh, I don't really put any stock in the bullpen decisions that he's made, given the options he
yeah,
has down
he
there.
hasn't had a real bullpen. You know,
Right. And so it's hard for me to really sink my teeth into any decisions he's made late in games and that sort of thing. But
The one question I do have, and I know I'm interrupting a lot
yeah,
today,
go ahead.
Luke. I guess
No,
it's
you're
the
fine.
boss isn't here, but is Cano.
Hmm.
It seems like Tony has these blinders on that he saw him like in 2022 and 23,
Right.
and it's no, that's your Cano. I'm putting them out there. When Jacob Calvin Meyer put those stats out about 10 or 12 days ago,
Mhm.
that like April his ERA was zero, and then from May 1st on, his ERA was like 5.8 or 6 or something like that. And I'm
So this
saying
happens a lot of times in baseball. So when Cano came up, I think it was in early May, maybe late April of 23. He had like a 3 months run where he was
he
one of the
was
best
real
relievers in
absolutely
baseball.
untouchable. Yeah,
And because that 3 month stretch happened at the front end of his career with nothing else preceding it, that's what they're trying to get back to that. In
yeah,
other words, they remember how he started. And if
yep,
that 3 month run had happened, I don't know, in the middle of last year, they might have moved on from the guy already
yeah.
because it would have just been jumbled in with his career.
It
Because it
was
happened at the start,
it
it's
was
like they're
and it
trying
was
to get back to it.
absolutely brilliant. Nobody could touch the guy. I but aside from that, you and I are both in agreement that the hand he was dealt back in May was not a good hand. With Eflin being injured so much,
Hmm.
Morton being so ineffective at the
Hmm.
time he
To cover.
came in.
Yeah.
About a week or two later, all of a sudden, you and I used to text back and forth. Boy, if Brandon had had the luck that Morton would have pitched like this.
Well,
But that
and
only
he
lasted for
also he also got Trevor Rogers.
yes,
And Brandon never had this Trevor
no,
because he had Trevor for 4 starts in 24 when he was
right,
throwing 88 miles an hour.
right,
That's the Trevor Rogers he had.
right.
And so, and ironically enough, you look at the rotation now. You got Rogers, you got Bradish, you got Wells throwing well. Um, the rotation actually looks better than it has all year. It's
Yeah,
just that as I texted you this weekend, man, this club can't hit.
yeah. We're going to talk more about that, and we're going to talk about some other things in a minute. And one of those things that we're going to talk about on the other side of the Costa Sin commercial is talking about whether this team, they've only got what, 3 games in Chicago,
Hmm.
7 at home, and 3 on the road, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So they got 7, 10, they've got 13 games left.
yeah. And seven
Would
of those are against the Yankees.
would the best thing be for the Orioles to finish the season? Well, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I always used to argue on the radio that even at the tail end of a miserable season, you build something for the following year.
Hmm.
With this focus now on being able to possibly be in the draft lottery, I think the best thing that could happen is if the Yankees, God forbid I'm saying this, but we play them how many times? 7 times.
Seven.
They beat us six, they go 6-1 against us, you know and we maybe win one game against the Rays and one game against Tampa, something like that. So finished like 3-10 or something like that. I think that would get us back into the bottom 6 teams. You agree, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm looking at the Tankathon standings, quote unquote,
Yeah.
right now. The Orioles have the fifth best odds at the moment, but they're only 6.5% roughly, and that's it,
To get into the bottom,
well, every eligible non-playoff team is in the lottery, but it's only the six. I think it's the top six that are
bottom teams,
the
except the
bottom.
White Sox are not eligible. They can't draft
No, no,
higher
the White
than.
Sox are eligible.
So
The
is it the
te
Rockies that
the
aren't
teams that
eligible?
aren't eligible, the Rockies, the Nationals, and Angels. And so
Oh, then we have a very good chance.
all eligible non-playoff teams are in the lottery. It's just that the top six is the order that the lottery determines.
Okay, got
And then, so right now, the White Sox have about a 27% chance at the top pick. Pittsburgh, about 22%.
Colorado
Minnesota,
about 35.
no, Colorado is at
Okay,
zero.
they're
So,
ineligible.
yeah, Colorado will pick 10th. Um, what a reward for this season they've had. My goodness. Minnesota 16%, Atlanta 12%, and Orioles 6% chance
Yeah.
at the top pick.
A lot
The
of times the team that has a low percentage chance of getting number one gets number one.
Yeah, that's happened in the past. It
Yeah.
happened with Cleveland.
So anyway,
And
when
and,
we
and
get
Cleveland
back,
took, but the problem with for Cleveland is they took the wrong guy.
like I said,
They
when we
should have
get
taken, who Cleveland should have taken?
who?
Nick Kurtz.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Nick
Who?
Kurtz went fourth overall to the A's.
Right.
Imagine Nick Kurtz hitting behind Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah. But
Anyway.
like I said 5 minutes ago, when we get back from the commercial, we're going to talk about whether it would be better for the. We've already done it, but we're going to talk about it more and what can fix this Orioles offense. We'll talk more about that right after I tell you about Costas. And Luke, because we usually have six thumbs, I'm going to ask you to put up a thumb and a finger, thumb and an index finger.
Like field
Not
goal
two.
post? Field goal.
Okay, field goal. That's four. And now I got three. So I'll go
How
back
about
to
how about
two.
win? We're gonna
Okay.
win. How about
All
that?
right. That's a good one, a win. All right. Anyway, we got the thumbs are up for the Costas. Let me not joke about the Costas. And again, as I said at the outset, there are now two great locations for the Costas fans out there, food fans. Um, 4100 North Point Boulevard. They've been there for 54 years now running, and they've been at the new location at the OTB in Timonium, upstairs next to the OTB, right above the grandstand in Timonium. They've been there for about 54 days. So try out either one of them. Again, if you want steamed crabs, you're going to have to go to North Point Boulevard, but the rest of the menu is available at the OTB Timonium, right next to the OTB in Timonium. And they've got great specials Monday through Friday. They've got the same great crab cakes, same great crab soup, cream and Maryland crab soup, and all manner of fish, beef, chops, salads, sandwiches, pit beef sandwiches. It's all there. The Costas Inn, same great family running both restaurants, and same great hospitality, and just the same feeling like you're eating at home. The Costas Inn, now with two great locations. All right, back with Luke Jackson for our remaining time today. Orioles play in Chicago tonight. Luke, who's pitching tonight? Do you know?
Kyle Bradish. He's pretty good.
He's pretty good. Yeah, yeah, he's pretty good. Do we know who's pitching for the White Sox?
I can find out here,
Okay.
but no,
Um,
I don't know. Hold on. I
we're
can
gonna
figure
find
this
that
out.
out right
Tyler
now.
Gilbert, a left-hander
Tyler
with
Gilbert.
a
All right.
4.1 mark and a 4.17 ERA.
All right. So maybe the Orioles offense will show a little life tonight.
Probably not, but
Going to ask you about one player right now.
hmm.
Buck Showalter always used to warn us not to make judgments on players in March and in September. All of a sudden, we've got back-to-back days with a Kobe Mayo home run. I know it wasn't against top tier pitching, but he did hit back-to-back games with home runs. Are we seeing the real Kobe Mayo come into life?
Well, certainly hope so, because first base has been a black hole for this team all year,
Yeah,
between Mountcastle and Mayo.
yeah,
I mean, those are both talented guys, and they just haven't gotten enough out of first base, and that's got to be a big priority this offseason is to figure out if the solution to first base is internal or
yeah.
if they have to go get a big bat, or try to get a big bat this offseason for first base. If Kobe Mayo is an answer, because we all know that Mountcastle is a non-tender candidate. He's got 1 year of club control left, and I don't think the club's going to want to pay him $8-9 million next year. Do you?
I totally agree.
Okay,
The
so
fact that he's a non-tender candidate,
right.
does the club still has the right to trade him, though?
Yes,
It's just
yes,
the other team would be picking up that
yes,
arbitration,
yes,
and
yes.
it's highly unlikely anybody's going to do that,
Right. Right. So
which
I would
leads
think,
to a DFA,
but yeah,
a
like a
non-tender.
non-tender slash
Yeah,
basically removed from the roster. Okay.
yeah.
So if that happens, then your internal option is Kobe Mayo. And we've seen some mostly not so great things so far, honestly, from
No, I
Kobe,
agree.
which is disappointing because I really liked the bat in the minor leagues and I thought he was going to hit. There are some issues that have cropped up. I guess he's always had some red flags with his swing that I guess he was talented enough that in the minor leagues he just produced despite the issues with the swing.
Yeah.
And I think those red flags have come to the surface
I mean,
in the majors.
Spencer Torkelson was a number
Mhm.
one pick. He was like what, the third pick that year by the
No, he was
Tigers.
number one overall pick in 2020, Spencer Torkelson.
Okay, by the Tigers.
Yep.
Um, he's had problems, and this year was his sort of breakout. He's not a superstar, but he's a bat that I think you can count on for 25 to 30 home runs now,
Yeah, I
right?
think you would prefer to hit him like sixth rather than fourth the way they do.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Is Mayo good enough to dream on that? And that's the question.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The question is for me, so he's had a lot of problems with breaking balls this year, which is not uncommon for any young hitter. It's particularly not uncommon for young right-handed hitters facing a lot of same-sided sliders. And
Yeah.
that's really what he's had a lot of trouble with. And it seems like they're trying to get him to be more aggressive on fastballs early in the count, which you saw a little bit of this weekend to try to stay away from the slider a little bit more. He's just been eaten up by sliders. And I'm curious to see how that plays out over the next couple weeks. I I just I wonder if the plan at first base will be to bring in competition for Kobe Mayo or to just bring in a more proven guy. And whether that's like bringing back Ryan O'Hearn, I don't know what that would entail
I
because
just the other day I was reading that Jerry Dipoto is now talking about wanting to try and keep Josh Naylor, who could be
Mhm.
a free agent after this year.
Right, right.
Um, I would certainly have a great deal of interest in just opening that up. You know,
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, you look around the diamond. uh, I don't know what they're going to do with Rutschman, but say that he comes back, then Westbrook's your third baseman, Gunner's your shortstop, Holiday's your second baseman. I'm sure they're going to give Colton Cowser another try in center. They have Tyler O'Neill under contract. You're starting to run out of
positions.
positions where you can upgrade,
So
and
first
first base
base
is
is the
clearly
one
one.
position
Yeah,
Mike made sense to roll the dice and get a guy. You know,
right. And then I would think an outfielder would be a big point of a big need as well in terms of trying to inject some offense into this
yeah, they
line.
need somebody much more significant than Dylan. You
Correct.
know, we're going to assume that Beaver's going to play a fair amount.
Right.
I don't think that, I think Kerstad would have to really blow their socks off. I think he's basically, I
I think
hate to
they
say it,
I think internally they probably have moved on.
moved on from. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean that was another disappointment too because they effectively picked him over Stowers.
Yeah. Yeah. They picked him and Cowser over Stowers,
Right.
and Stowers ends up an
Ends up being the best
all-star.
player of the
Yeah.
of the
Of
trio.
the
And
three.
like and Cowser, I mean, geez, I feel like he's run about a 40% strikeout rate the past 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Um and it's
And
amazing watching
on base percentage, like 270 or something.
it's amazing to me watching this club how many of these hitters are basically attacked the same way. They just don't
Yeah.
see fastballs.
Yeah.
And so Mayo, Cowser, Basayo, those are three guys off the top of my head that just don't see fastballs.
Yeah.
It's all breaking stuff and changeups.
Yeah.
It's all they see.
Yeah.
And I would assume that as a club, the Orioles probably see the fewest percentage of fastballs, uh, at least like in the bottom five. And that's just how they're
And,
attacking. They haven't adjusted all year.
and you'd like to think that good young hitters, although it's very difficult at the major league level, that they would start. One of the things they say about how do you get better is hitting off speed pitching. You
Yeah,
know, it
yeah,
seems like Kaiser is almost intransigent in how his approach is,
right.
and
And
he's
so
just
if you
totally,
remember last year, I think it was late April, it was like a 10 to 14-day stretch where he went on a crazy heater. It was
yeah,
probably the best 2 weeks of his life, and he was crushing fastballs. And ever since then, he hasn't seen any fastballs since then.
yeah,
And the poor kid hasn't adjusted since. I mean, it's
yeah.
amazing. And I made the point to you over the weekend. We were watching a game, and I said, I forget who I think it was Bassett, and he blew a 92-mile-an-hour fastball by Kauser for a
Kaiser, because
strikeout
he
at
was
the top
he
of the
was
zone.
waiting on off
And I
speed.
said, Stan, they're so in his head that he can't even hit a 92-mile-an-hour fastball right now because he's looking for a breaking ball or changeup.
Yeah,
And so, and then I think it was one of the other days in the weekend, Basayo got ahead 2-0 in a count, and he's looking fastball, gets a curveball, swing and miss. 2-1, looking for a fastball, gets a curveball, swing and miss. 2-2, still looking for a fastball, curveball, swing and miss. And it's like, and we just haven't seen from a lot of these young hitters the adjustments come as quick as they need to come. Plain and simple.
very good, very well put, very well put. So circling back for a brief conversation, would I'm not saying they're actively tanking at all. I don't think
Mhm.
Mancelino's actively
Oh
tanking at
no,
all.
oh no.
Um, would you like to see them go 3-10 the last 13 games to make sure they're in that lottery?
Well, like I said before, they are in the lottery. They will be in the, it's just that we're talking now about odds. And
For
so
odds,
if
right?
they can leapfrog, and by leapfrog I mean like leapfrogging the bad way,
Yeah,
Atlanta, they could get up to
10 or
12%.
12%,
Yeah,
something like.
their percentages would leap up to about 12% for the top pick.
Okay,
Um, but like, and by what I mean by like everyone's in the lottery, well, like the last non-playoff team right now is Texas, and their odds are 0.37%
right.
to win. So they're in the lottery, but
Yeah.
not really.
So I'm talking about increasing, and
Yeah,
I probably misunderstood that, but
yeah.
and it didn't stop me from writing a very good column about it. But thankfully, I had an editor who made some sense out of it.
Oh, it's
But
smart
but
guy.
but but I would personally, I have no problem with them finishing 3-10.
Well, they might do that.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
trying to win, they might win
Well,
finish.
first of all, it looks like they're not. I don't think they'll pick Rodgers. They
Uh,
haven't
I
announced
think
that yet.
I think Manzolino said today that, or yesterday, that he plans to start again. So
Okay. Kramer might be a shut.
I think Kramer is pitching tomorrow.
Okay.
Hold on, let me check.
Don't let's not let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Hold on, I'm checking. Okay, I don't know if they've announced it yet, but I think Kramer's going to start
Okay.
tomorrow and
All right.
Wells on Wednesday,
All
and
right.
that would leave.
Zach
I would
Eflin
think.
coming back. Zach Eflin
I
coming
think he's
back.
home. I think he's home. Do you
All
ever
right.
notice that that every single Zach Eflin start, I think, aside from his very first one, they wore the black uniforms. You ever notice that?
No, I did not notice that. But it
I want to say I don't know how many starts he made as an Oriole, but
yeah.
I feel like all but one came in the black uniforms.
Okay.
Anyway,
All
there you
right.
go.
All right. Anyway, that's my take on that. Um, now that I got the facts straight that they're going to be in the draft lottery, I'd like to see them get up as high as like 10, 12% to have a shot at getting the number one pick. All right. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. Tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday afternoon, the Orioles will be in Chicago before coming home for a 4-game stand Thursday night against the Yankees, Friday night, and his Saturday. Wait a minute, I got the schedule right here. Saturday is a night game, and Sunday is a
Hmm.
1:35 start, and no competition against the Ravens this Sunday. The
Correct.
Ravens will
And
play
then
Monday
they
night.
have an off day, and I'm sure plenty of their guys will go on to Monday Night Football,
Yep,
right? Yeah.
yep, yep. The Orioles will play three more home games against Tampa before finishing the season with a three-game stand up at Yankee Stadium. That's going to do it for today. For Ross Grimsley, who's out of action today, for Luke Jackson, I'm Stan the Fan Charles of Pressbox and PressBoxOnline.com. Don't forget to, where's my sheet here? Like the show, subscribe to the show, and share the show if you enjoy it. Thanks to the Costas Inn for always being there for us. That's going to do it for today. Next Monday, Luke is going to take the day off. Our special guest is BJ Surhoff. He's going to be on to talk about 25 years of having founded and operated, along with his wife Polly, the Pathfinders for Autism. That's a fantastic organization, and we'll talk to him about that's meant and his family. Bye for now.